You know, old Thunderbirds do everything with vacuum, right? They've got a vacuum pump on top of the fuel pump. There's a vacuum windshield wipers. There's vacuum heater controls. And oftentimes it doesn't work very well. So this episode is called Getting the Heater Heating Again.
Thunderbird Garage, where the classics come alive. 57 Magic Man, it's more than just a drive. Thunderbird Garage, let the good times thrive. Ooh.
So if you have a Thunderbird, this probably looks familiar to you. This is over on the driver's side, and this went to the secondary vacuum pump on top of the fuel pump. And this kind of repowered the vacuum or made the vacuum strong when you were accelerating the car, because the wipers originally were vacuum, as well as the control to when you turned on the heat. It actually opened a valve via vacuum to allow the warm water to flow through your heater core. So I've removed this because remember, we've converted these to electric wipers, which work much better. It's cleaned up our engine compartment a little bit without these guys. I've kept them in case I need them for later, but in any event, what are we going to do? Let me show you. Put this down. And over here, we're going to be replacing this valve with this piece, which is in essence no longer a valve. It's just an elbow that allows the top of the manifold coolant port to allow water to flow through the system into the heater core. But we're going to control the water going into the heater core with this manual valve, which has a little lever here and is controlled by this cable, which will go into where this vacuum line came out of the car. This cable will actually go in there and hook up right to the lever on the control for your heater. So when you turn the lever to hot, that will actually manually open up this valve, which will allow water to flow through the heater core. It just doesn't have the issue of wondering whether there's a vacuum leak, whether you have enough vacuum to actually operate it. So it just makes the system a little more reliable. And remember, I do drive this more than just in the warm weather, and granted, not everybody does. So I do want the heater to be able to work. So that's what we're going to do first. And ultimately, we got to drain the system of coolant just to get it down below the level where it'll spill everywhere. Then I'm going to snip into the water pump hose, or the hose coming off the water pump, I should say. Put this valve in there, and then connect this cable, route it where the vacuum line was, and just connect it to the lever on the dash. And that's pretty much it. It makes it pretty simple. So I opened the petcock on the bottom of the radiator just to drain out some of the fluid, the radiator fluid. I will be reusing that and pouring it back in. So I have a clean tray there, a plastic tray. And so yeah, just want to get the coolant down low enough so when I start snipping those hoses or when I replace the valve here, we don't have a mess anywhere. No matter how careful you are, you will get some spillage, so make sure you got some paper towels just to keep your engine clean here. So I will put this off to the side so you can see the engine. And I have loosened this up. I'm not that strong to be able to just do it by hand here, but I am pulling this valve right out of the manifold top here. So I got that out. Hopefully you can see that's what it looks like there. And we're going to replace it with the new silver one. So in its place is going this. So this will go down in there. I'm going to get thread sealant, but it will sit sort of like that and be reconnected to the hose. So there is no more valve per se here. It's all going to happen in this hose here. So remember when we talked about that OCD side of my personality? Well, I just saw an opportunity to paint this right up and next to the valve, which I hadn't been able to do before. So we're going to do that. We're going to touch up some of that stuff. It's very hard to get to. I will stop, but just after one more paintbrush full. All right, that'll look great right around there. No one will know we did open heart surgery right here, okay? There we go. All right. All right, now we've got a little high temperature thread sealant on this, so we're gonna go straight in there and tighten that puppy back up. And remember, you want the outlet pointing that way when you're done. So now we are going to reconnect the hose here. Whoops. Make sure I get on it like that. Back up, oops, back under here. There. Alrighty. And we will put that puppy back on there and retighten our hose clamp. I don't know if I love this hose clamp, but I'm gonna use it for now. So if you haven't spent much time below your dashboard, this is sort of what it looks like underneath there. You can see I have the AC right there, but this is the heater. There's a little heater door here if you want a little extra flow coming out with a little kind of felt pad there that needs a little readjusting. But you can see inside there, there's the heater core, which we saw from the engine compartment. And then up here, hopefully you can see, let me readjust. So this here is the vacuum hose that you saw inside the engine compartment. So hopefully you can see that okay. And you will see as I wiggle the hose, we've got to remove the hose, but we also have to remove the box that is the distributor for the air. So I'm going to start removing some of these screws. I've also removed the defroster hose in there that you see as well, just to give me access. And I'll reconnect that in a second. So as you see, as I move this lever here, watch what happens down here. That's the direction of whether we want heater, right air, or whether I want defrost. So this flapper door controls whether it goes to heater or defrost. So one of the things that helps is the fact that I was replacing my glove box, and you can see that I've had to get in and do some interesting stuff here. So there are screws all around this box here. There's one below, one in the corner, one up above, and then one way back there that it's tough to show you. Maybe I can lift some of these guys up and you can see, actually right back there is the last one I've got to release before I can pull this box off. So let's pull this guy apart here and you'll see the, oops, got some stuff going on, but you'll see the vacuum control for the heater. So this piece here, wait, the one I just removed is where the nipple fitting would go on if you still have vacuum coming into this. And what I just disconnected is the long hose that went all the way to the manifold valve on the engine. So, but in any event, I don't need to, but I'll just show you how it goes on there anyway. So if you do have vacuum coming into your heater and you don't want to introduce a new vacuum leak, that would go right on top of this little port right there. All right. Oh, and by the way, in case you see the green cable, that's for the signal seeking radio for the original radio that we had in the car. You'll notice a green wire will come out from the firewall just to this side of the heater core, and that was actually connected to the distributor, and as the car would go faster, it would increase the volume of the signal seeking town and country radio that Ford offered. AM only. So there you see the port covered up. So if we had vacuum coming in there, we wouldn't be introducing any additional vacuum leaks while we installed the manual control for our heater. Now we're going to remove the vacuum line from the car. A lot of it. Come on out, vacuum line. There we go. So that's the end of it, and we're going to have a little bit of a cleaner engine compartment. So throw that off to the side, and now I got to get the cable that would feed back into there. And here's our cable. It's going to go right back into the same spot. And it's going to come out. And remember, it's going to connect to the valve that we're going to put here to control the flow of the hot water. So with the heater box removed, you see the culprit is this guy here, is vacuum control valve. That was bleeding edge technology in 1955 through 57. However, we're going to replace that with a more reliable mechanical unit in the engine compartment. So I've got to take this off. This cable is connected to the heater control up here, this top lever, and this is what's being replaced by our new cable. I'll show you the underneath view of that as well right now, but in any event, I'm going to clean this up a little bit as well, because a lot of dust. So the next trick is to replace this top cable, which is the most difficult to get to, with the new cable that came in the kit, and this would go out to the actual new heater valve that's in the engine compartment. And with the last of the screws and the plenum connected and the box in, I think we're ready to tie up the inside and go back and put in the valve in the engine compartment. The only challenge with this kit is it's supposed to be 10 inches back from the heater box, but I also have air conditioning parts here that are not allowing me to do that. So I'm going to have to push more of the cable in and try to get it to fit into the space here just beside the box. So what was it like replacing this little valve and this little cable? Well, it ended up being more of an ordeal than I thought it would be. It shouldn't have been, but you know what? There's always more than you think when you get involved in some things. Some of the issues are the placement of my air conditioning components here didn't necessarily let me mount it exactly where I wanted, this new little valve. When I was draining the radiator out of the petcock, I had an emergency. I had to run in the house and ended up pouring green fluid all over the floor of my garage, so we had to clean up that. Also dropped a microphone like this right into the actual antifreeze as well. So there were things. And then underneath the dashboard, when you're removing the heater box, remember you got 4 bolts there plus 1 screw on the front. That is a challenge, especially in those tight quarters, and then getting it back on with the rubber connection to the defroster hose or the defroster nozzle. The rubber hose connects to the defroster nozzle is a challenge. There's not a lot of room in there. If you have big hands, it's going to be a little bit of an issue. But ultimately, we've removed the vacuum valve there, and it works great. I'll show you right now as we're leaving Thunderbird Garage.
California light.